Yeah. Coffee talk.
Coffee talk. Welcome to Coffee Talk. That's what we do. Should do like the. I'm your host, Sarah.
So you have chocolate
Yes.
to try with your chocolate.
Is there a method to it? Like, do I take
Okay, so this might be a good lead-in because so these are my 5 single origins that I have in my single origin collection right now.
Okay.
So we are selling these as a tasting box, which are available online right now, which I don't have them in the shop, but we will have them for our 1-year anniversary, which is August 14th. Which is a week from Saturday. So we'll have boxes available. But what we do basically, there's enough in it to share. So you break it into pieces and then you start with one. And we're pairing this with the tea today. So this is the Rise and Shine Blend Tea, which is my coffee substitute. But you're going to take the chocolate and you're going to take a little bite and you're going to let it melt in your mouth. And then if this were say like a beer or wine, you're going to take a sip of that and then you're going to taste the flavor of that. And then you'll go back to the chocolate and get some of that chocolate flavor in it again. So if you're not pairing it with anything particular, it's just the same thing. You bite it, you let it melt, you let the notes of the chocolate come through. And then it also comes with a booklet. This is our chocolate pairing box. I feel like I should go on QVC. And you open it. This is really a good gift for people too, especially a gift to yourself.
What did this go for?
So this goes for $38.
So for only $38,
you're going to have an experience for you and your friends. So it comes with all 5 of the bars that we are pairing right now, which are 80% dark in Belize, Guatemala, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. And then on the inside, you open it up and it gives you descriptions of all 5 of the different chocolates. And then it gives you a little bit of a place for you to write tasting notes about your chocolate. And it gives you a flavor profile wheel on the back.
That is so cool.
Look to see the different, if you're not good with vocabulary or tasting, if you're just learning how to taste, it gives you a lot of words for you to look at to be able to write down your experience.
This is awesome.
So you get this experience tonight.
I know. I took a preview. I was like,
yeah, these are really cool. And this is what we take when we go to beer pairings or wine pairings.
Okay.
We usually take little tasting squares, which are just for one person, but like I said, these boxes are really good if you want to share with somebody, or it's really good to say you are a craft beer person.
Right.
You can take them with you to the different breweries and you could do your own pairings with the chocolates.
See, that's really fun.
Yeah,
it is. It's like a whole experience in a box.
It is an experience in a box.
Okay. Yeah. So on the 14th,
yes,
that's that Saturday. Are you having an event?
We are. We're having a birthday party.
Yay! Okay, I'll be there.
So we're actually going to have our ribbon cutting since we opened during coronavirus. So we were not allowed to have ribbon cuttings during our grand opening. So we are doing our ribbon cutting right at our opening time, which is 11.
Okay.
And then we're going to open up. And I'm going to have a couple of vendors. So my friends that do the Mayan backstrap weaving, who's from Guatemala, and then my friend from Colombia that does her other crafty things that are in here, the jewelry. They are going to be coming so they can talk about their things that they make. And we're going to have chocolate birthday cake, which I'm excited about. I think I might be making a Black Forest cake because that's one of my favorites.
Black Forest.
And then we'll have samples and goodie bags and stuff like that. So.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. Yeah, because I definitely want to grab one of those boxes because that's so fun. Just to be able to do the pairing. Like, so I've been getting more and more into like the cacao ceremony concept. And so like, even though it's not necessarily like a drinking, like I was saying, this tea would be an amazing twist to your traditional cacao ceremony where it's just the cacao and the coconut oil, and I think they do a little bit of like the cinnamon and cayenne sometimes. But that is like, you could create your own ceremony with it too. You know, you could do pairing, you could do.
Yeah. Well, I think chocolate itself is ceremonial.
Right.
And I get asked a lot about cacao ceremonies because I'm an herbalist and I work with plants. And I think that because I have been trained as an herbalist, I have always said that unless an indigenous person offers to gift me with that knowledge, I can't do it.
Right.
You know, so
see, and I think that's cool because you're keeping it sacred.
Yeah. And it is sacred.
Yeah.
So do I believe in the power of like I'm sure you can feel the effects of this.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Right now,
Yeah.
Like the way I feel right now.
I feel happy. I feel like I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's just like, and there's not a whole lot of chocolate in that. It's really a combination of like all the detoxifying, the burdock root and the dandelion root and like the chicory and like everything, even the mushrooms, the reishi shaga, like it's all making us feel really good right now.
Right.
So you can have your own spiritual ceremonial. I mean, coffee is a ceremonial ritual every morning. So to have
matcha tea,
absolutely, which is a ritual and ceremonial. Right. So you don't have to place the label of it as a cacao ceremony. And I always say that whenever I have my gatherings of people, and I'm like, I'm not having a ceremony, but we're all coming together and we're enjoying this beverage together or this chocolate together.
Right.
And it is within itself ceremonial because we've gathered together.
Yeah, I love that. The natural aspect of the gathering, not necessarily as, I'm a facilitator and I'm holding space here. In a way, you're gifting the space even to be able to do it. Yeah. But it's more of the community concept of it.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah. And it's and that's with everything that you do with community. You can make it, special.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's cool. I love it. And then you're going to start doing those types of tea gatherings.
Yeah. Tea so we have one coming up, which is on a Wednesday, the last Wednesday of our month of August. It's tea and conversation is what I call it. Kind of like what we're doing now.
Awesome.
So we'll have chocolate.
It's like coffee talk.
Yeah, it's coffee talk.
But it's chocolate.
Yeah, it's chocolate. Chocolate talk. So we'll have chocolate for us to munch on, and then we'll be sipping a certain tea. So we're going to be discussing teas that are good for resilience during stressful periods of time, which a lot of people are feeling right now. And so we'll be sipping that tea, but we'll also talk about different herbs and different things that are going to be helpful for us to be able to deal with stressful situations and just have it as a conversation, not necessarily like I will guide the conversation, but essentially I want everybody to be able to play a role in that piece of it.
Same thing, not necessarily being a facilitator where you're teaching or anything like that. I mean, there's going to be some educational aspects, like you said, like helping to guide it. Yeah. But allowing others to step in.
Absolutely. Because we all have something to bring to the table. We all have experiences. So whatever helps one person may or may not help another person. So, to be able to share that and saying, well, in my experience, I've had this help me. Right. So to be able to engage everybody and be able to.
Well, and I think it's like, there's so many different ideas of like, how did that knowledge of herbs and, different types of, different herbs, get passed down to where it's like, this is good for this is good for this, because there probably was conversation, eating a plant for the first time, like, wow, this gave me this experience. You try it. Oh, that gave me that experience too. But because of either my constitution is different or my experiences are different, or my energy is different, I had a similar but maybe slightly different experience. Yeah. So it's cool to think of like, where that came from, like on an ancient level.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's cool bringing that forward. And there's not a lot of that these days. Like you don't get a lot of that like conversation, everybody round table.
Yeah. Which I think is like the most fun, having like everybody engaged in conversation. Yeah. But I think that that's also the teacher in me, since I was a public school teacher and trained to teach in a way that engages everybody. It's very natural for me to lead a classroom aspect of like getting everybody having questions that everybody can have their own answers to. And
So when did you get into doing this then?
So, okay. I went to college for studio art. So my degree is in studio art with the intentions of going to New York City and becoming a fashionable graphic designer, wearing like really awesome fashionable clothes and being in Manhattan and, you know, like
The ritzy.
yeah,
the
so the
there's
whole
like a-
idea
like a bougie.
of, yeah, like I really wanted to, you know, I've always been the ladder climber.
Okay.
So, and I kind of joked where I always said like I must have little person syndrome because I've always been like the small, cute girl, but I've always been the one treated as a little girl. Like, oh, you're so cute. You want to be a manager? Oh,
Like, oh, like, that's
yeah.
cute.
You want to be a boss? No way.
You're like,
So-
watch me own my own
Yes,
business.
yeah. So I've as soon as I left college, I always knew that I wanted to like step up and be that next level. So I became a graphic designer when I left school. I actually came to Florida following my dad because when I graduated in 2002.
Okay.
And right after 9/11, there were no jobs.
Oh.
So essentially going into New York City after 9/11, it was just like you were competing against people losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the businesses were all like letting people go and they're like, well, you don't have any experience. So my dad was like, well, just come to Florida. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want to come to Florida. Okay, I'll come to Florida. So I came down here in 2003. And in the meantime, between 2002 and 2003, I was working in a bakery basically I went back to Indiana University, was hanging out with my friends, working at the bakery, just kind of killing time until I moved to Florida and found a graphic design job here and realized pretty quickly that I didn't want to be on a computer like all day, every day. Like I worked at a company that literally had no windows and we all were in cubicles. And as much as I loved being on the computer and designing and how like I'm just really good at it, it really took a toll on me.
Yeah.
So I ended up becoming an art teacher and figured that being in the classroom gave me, again, that control that I wanted. Like I would be the boss and was a really good teacher. And I actually have worked with kids like my whole life. Like I babysat, I've worked at summer camps. I've been an art teacher, dance teacher, swim coach, swim teacher, lifeguard, like you name it. I've worked with kids like, and so teaching was very natural to me. And it kind of, again, like it started taking its toll when the politics started getting involved.
Yeah.
And as an art teacher, it really got tricky once Common Core started coming around because we were getting tested in all subject areas. And instinctually, it was just something that didn't sit well with me.
Right.
And I couldn't stand by and be a part of it.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was in a position where I was able to get out.
That's good.
And my son was 2 at the time, so I had a baby at home. So it was even more reason for me to get out. And I knew that I wanted to start my own business anyway. And so when I left teaching, I started my own business called The Homegrown Home. And The Homegrown Home was, I called it an American chic, an eco-chic American artist boutique.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
I was buying American environmentally friendly products from artisans that were mainly local, but some things I looked for specifically that I would buy, like wooden kids' toys,
Right.
and really good soaps and things like that. So I would go and do house parties and sell my products to people. And at the same time I was doing this, Rachel at EcoBean had 2 employees quit on her. So being really good friends with Rachel and working from home and having my son at home with me all the time, who was 3, and she's like, do you want to come work with me at EcoBean? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I'll have coffee every day. I'll go and I can help you.
That piece that I was holding like melted on my finger. I've been holding a piece of Louise. When we were talking about the pairing, and I took a bite too soon, and then I was like, I'm holding the rest of this, and then I was like,
Oh, you have to eat
melted.
it. So EcoBean was, I always say that everything happens for a reason. And our journeys always guide us to where we need to be. And my retail business I had was my way to get out of teaching and allowed me to be able to get into the food and coffee industry.
Right.
So with the experience of baking and like my food is in my blood because my great grandmother owned a truck stop.
Wow.
So she made home cooked foods and served the truckers. So that's like what she did. And my mom was raised in that truck stop watching my grandma cook. So my mom was more of the baker. My dad was more of the cook. Like he was really into spices. And so I have the experience of watching my mom make baked goods like almost every day. She was actually a stay-at-home mom. So that's what she did. She was like Susie homemaker, which I'm not at all. I didn't inherit that. But it's still like it's in me.
Don't mind me. I'm just enjoying myself over here.
So that's awesome. Yummy.
I was like, yeah, we'll do the pairing, and then it was like, no, oh yeah, and I totally forgot I was even holding it. And it started to melt. I was like, oops,
gotta eat it.
But see, that's really cool that you had that experience, at least from like the different backgrounds, to be able to go, okay, like I've learned this,
yeah. So going into the coffee shop, I went in at a perfect time where she was starting to serve food at that time. So she needed help. She just received her dessert case. She had just gotten her dessert case. I started baking out raw foods for her. So we were doing, and I had no
idea that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I really, really loved, I still really love doing raw treats.
Yeah.
And so that's where chocolate making really started. But I also started down my plant journey doing essential oils at EcoBean. So we started working with essential oils, and I started learning more about the chemical constituents in essential oils, and fell in love with just the medicinal properties, and like was just fascinated that I'm like, oh my gosh, these like have these chemical constituents that do things to our bodies.
Right.
Started using the oils. Also was doing the raw vegan diet at the same time, studying food. And really kind of dove into like the food as medicine part of my journey.
What time era was this? Like what year was this?
I started EcoBean in 2013.
That's about, I think it was like 2012, 2013 when I was doing the raw vegan aspect, and I was learning raw food. I was working at Rockstar.
I remember because Rachel knew you from Rockstar, I think.
Yeah, and then eventually, I started doing like chair massages there. But like and I remember like I loved their raw foods that they had. And they were unique. They were different because like every place has their own little twist to it. So I was so used to how we did it there, and then when I went to EcoBean, I was like, oh my gosh, I love these.
Yeah.
But I used to make a bunch of stuff at home too, and it's fun. It's so creative.
Well, and I think with raw foods, what I love so much about them is you can't go wrong. You can't make a mistake. Like it's all edible.
Yeah.
It's like it's not going to make you sick. So you can literally take all of these different combinations of foods and throw them together, and they're going to work.
Right.
So
as long as you have the consistency,
started like learning about like the different nuts and how the different fats are going to affect the flavors, all the different flavors of these different things and how they work together.
So you really got into like the science part of it too.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I love with the science of like foods, and just like what foods do to our bodies. And then incorporating, the science of like the plants. And so it all really kind of merged itself together. But that's where I kind of see like where that journey had led me to get into EcoBean, to start learning more about these things to get me where I am now.
Yeah.
But I started working with raw chocolate there. That was where my first experience with chocolate happened, where I was making the raw, I think it was like raw peanut butter cups, where, it's like you do like raw cacao powder and coconut oil and make maple syrup to sweeten it, vanilla, and then you just blend it, and then bam, this chocolate.
Yeah, there you go.
And you refrigerate it, and it solidifies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really love working with chocolate, but how do you make chocolate? Because this isn't chocolate. Chocolate doesn't need to be refrigerated. So where does it come from? How do I make this?
Right.
And there were times I took chocolate chips and like melted them down, and I'm like, why is this a glump? Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, there's something wrong with this. I now know it's because of the stuff that's in the lecithins and stuff in the chocolate. But I really found the creative aspect of chocolate making just really enjoyable, as well as like just the things you could make with chocolate. Like, it's limitless.
Right.
So
you have all the different, the flavors, and then of course the origins. And all that gets into like the pairing and the taste.
Yeah, there's so much. So I think that I tend to be the person that I want to master something. Anything I've ever done, I want to be the best at it.
Yeah.
And then I get bored and I move on.
That's what I do.
So I'm like, I swear we've been like sisters in the past life or something.
No, I think so.
So I think that
we were like twins in the past life though, because it's like so similar. That's why I was like, what time era were you doing the raw vegan thing?
Yes. Yeah. So I think that what has really kept me on my toes with especially plants is like, plants are limitless.
Yeah.
So working with plant medicine and working with holistic health, and it's kind of that challenge where I'm like, this is never going to be boring for me because there's always something new to learn.
Right.
So just kind of fast forwarding. So I worked at EcoBean, started my chocolate journey, started working with essential oils. It got to the point where I was ready to pursue I was ready to step forward with my own journey, I guess I should say.
Right.
So that was the time I left EcoBean. I went to herbalism school, went to Traditions School of Herbal Medicine. And I, at the same time, was getting my holistic health practitioner certification.
Oh, cool.
So I was going through a distance learning program out of California at the Holistic Arts School of Holistic Arts. It's been a while. And so, I got those done at the same time. I was doing Qigong at the same time. So all of this happened like all within like a year or two of each other, like completing my certification, working with, getting certified, doing Qigong, getting my Western, herbalism. And it just really all came together. And for some reason, like I kept coming back to chocolate. So,
kind of hard not to.
Yeah. So I was doing my chocolate making for my house, and I was doing cottage food chocolate making. And I started out at Sweetwater Organic Farm. I was taking my son and I, he was 5 at the time, we're hand cranking out beans. So I literally kind of stepped backwards, like, here's raw chocolate. What's chocolate made from? Oh, here's a paste. Oh, okay. Well, where's the paste come from? And where's the butter come from? And so I stepped backwards until I found the beans. And then we finally got our first batch of beans, roasted them, hand ground them, learning from YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Because there really wasn't that much information at the time either. So we just cranked them out by hand. Our first chocolate was crunchy and people loved it. And then we were selling out at markets, and just kind of kept working at it until we opened up the storefront. And
was it intentionally crunchy, or was it crunchy because you were hand
grinding?
Because
we were hand grinding.
Okay.
Yeah. So my original chocolate, I wanted to be traditional.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be on a metate.
Oh yeah.
One of these things.
Woo. That's awesome.
So
it's almost just like a rolling pin.
Kind of. So it's done with a volcanic stone.
Ooh.
So
okay.
So I had a gentleman, the guy actually who owns the shop across from EcoBean.
Oh, okay.
He travels to Mexico and to different places to get his stuff for his shop. So I knew he was going on a trip to Mexico soon, and I showed him a picture, and I actually sent him a picture, and I'm like, keep this picture. This is what it's called. I need you to find it for me.
Yeah.
So he went to look for one of those for me and brought one back. And it was, so we were curing it, which is a process of putting dried beans and dried rice, and you grind it, and it takes any little loose stones off of the metate, so that way it doesn't get in your food.
Oh, okay.
And you do the same thing for molcajete, which is the traditional way of making salsa.
Oh,
They're
okay.
like little, like, smaller versions that are round.
Like a mortar and pestle sort of thing? Okay.
Yeah. So I was grinding these like dried beans and this like dried corn, and like all these little chips kept coming off of it. And I'm like, geez, like, are they, like, is this ever going to cure? And so I was like going online and I'm researching, and it's like, oh, you need to take it to a car wash and pressure wash it. And I'm like, oh, pressure wash it. Okay. So my son and I like put it in the back of my car. We go up to the car wash, we bring it out, and here we are like pressure washing this like stone.
It's like ancient chocolate grinding.
So we take it home and I continue like grinding all these like dried things, and all these chips keep coming off of it still. And so here I am like back on the internet, and I'm like, why is this not like curing? Yeah. And I finally found a site that said that in Mexico and tourist areas, they do a lot of concrete replicas. And sure enough, I'm like, that's what's going on. Yeah. So luckily he bought it back for me.
Yeah.
He gave me my money back, and I wish now I kind of still had it so I could just display it, but I'm still on the hunt for a real one.
I may have to take a personal trip.
I'm going to have to take a personal trip and find one myself. Yeah. But they're not cheap. I mean, they're hard to find.
And
because
when was that?
This was, Coltrane was like 5. So like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was like the beginning, is like, I'm making real chocolate.
So if anybody has like a hookup for a real, what was it called again?
It's called metate.
Metate. Real metate. But it's volcanic stone.
Yep. It's made out of a volcanic stone. Yeah. So, and which really stinks because he has a driver drive all of his things back to the States.
Okay.
So that's where I'm like, it's perfect because they're heavy, and he just brought it back with him, and like, so So here I am with my now industrial grinder. My chocolate is no longer crunchy, but I might bring back a crunchy chocolate for our grand opening or our 1-year anniversary.
It's kind of like
the original.
Go back to the OG.
Yeah, the original Ratza Chocolate Bar.
Awesome.
Yeah. So fast forward, we got our manufacturing permit through EcoBean, since it was like a second home to me.
Right.
And we were using the facility on the day it was closed.
Okay.
And during off hours. And when Rachel decided to close, which happened to be right at the beginning of the pandemic, which was not pandemic related, she knew like in December she was closing. So I knew leading up to that April 1st that I needed to find a new place for my permit. Mm-hmm. And so this space that I'm in now opened up, and I put a deposit on it the first week of March. And I'll never forget, I was at EcoBean helping her like 1 or 2 days a week. And some gentleman came in that worked for the UN that had been over in Asia. Like, we were talking about me getting my space, and he's like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, the world's about to change.
Wow.
And we're like, no, it's going to be fine. He's like, I'm telling you that I just left Asia. The world's about to change.
I have like
I know. Yeah.
Right
He's
now.
like, do not sign that lease. And of course, like Rachel and I are both like, it's going to be fine. We're going to be okay. And sure enough, we got put on lockdown the next week. So my last market was at the House of Beer. It was Friday the 13th. Wow. And I had 2 customers. The market was dead. And I had a friend who showed up, who was there with somebody else. And we were like the last people there drinking, because we knew it might be the last time that we'd be able to do that for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So my deposit was on the space, and then we got him put on lockdown. My husband essentially lost his job because he's a musician. So he was not working. I lost my permit, so I wasn't able to sell my chocolate because as of April 1st, my permit was gone.
Yeah.
So I basically told, I can't sign a lease right now.
Right.
So from March to May 1st, we basically had to figure out, like, what are we going to do? Like, we both have no income coming in. And sure enough, I kind of was just like, I'm pulling up my big girl panties and we're going to sign this lease. And I'm not losing my business because I've worked really hard to get here. I don't care what's happening out there. This is going. And my husband was like, I'm not sure about this. And I'm like, well, you're either going in with me or you're not. So I signed the lease for May 1st and spent like most of the pandemic in here just painting these walls, and opened up in August, and it's been really awesome.
That's amazing. I know. I remember I came in here and saw you like when.
That's right.
I don't remember if you had. I think
it was
still
royal
kind of
blue.
Yeah.
Royal blue. And painter's tape blue, actually. Painter's tape blue. It took, I think, 3 coats of like a cream color to go on my wall. But But I would lock the door and I would blast the music, and we had no TV and we had no radio, and
awesome.
you know, so like
Sounds
literally like whatever was happening out there didn't matter.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then
I thought that was really cool because like you really did. I remember being like, wow, she's opening it up like during this. That's awesome. I was like, you know, because I have my own, you know, thought process on all of that, and I was hoping that more people would do that. So I remember seeing you do that and being like, that's cool. Like,
I just don't think that it really fazed me. You know, like it was kind of weird how everybody was like, wow, you're opening during a pandemic. And it's like, I would like, you just have to keep living your life though.
Well, that was like, I was still doing massage at that point.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was the whole like 6-foot rule, and there was the whole like, are you a essential worker or not? And because I worked for a chiropractic office and I worked with doctors and physicians, they were like, yeah, like you're considered essential. And so like, I kept right on massaging. Like it was like, no, you know, I just didn't really do anything. I didn't wear a mask while I was doing it. I washed my hands. You know, but it was like, we were never sick. Like everybody was cool. I never worked on anybody who was sick. It really, and I know not everybody's experience was the same. So like, you know, I don't want to seem inconsiderate of that if somebody had a different experience, but I think it's your mindset. And it's what you attract and bring into your life. And so like if you start falling into that fear, you're going to attract that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just was like, I felt the same way, you know, it was like, oh gosh, you know, if whatever's happening to anybody else, like obviously I feel for them no matter what the case is. You know?
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of epidemics, pandemics out there on another level from just not eating right, from not exercising, being glued to the television screen, or like, you know, not your energy and your energetics and your physical and physiology, all of that, and mentality, all of that is so different. So we really are living in a pandemic like world on other levels. So I think that's why maybe we're able to be like, yeah, we know McDonald's and stuff exists, but we're in our world.
Yes.
It's kind of that same sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a lot of societal pressure to like view it a certain way and to like act a certain way. And when I would go to grocery stores or that kind of thing, you know, I realized like, okay, I'll make sure I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. But none of my massage clients felt that way. None of them were. Life was pretty normal. It honestly never didn't change much.
Well, and I feel so blessed that, you know, so as soon as everybody felt comfortable to like leave their houses again, which like going out, I shouldn't say leaving their houses, because like I actually had several instances of people coming in here that hadn't left their house since like the beginning of the pandemic. Like some woman who like she'll walk, I'll never forget her face, which I couldn't really see much of because she had on sunglasses, a face mask, like guard, and she was wearing gloves, and she came in here to get chocolate and told me that she had not left her house since like February. And I'm like,
what does that do to your mentality?
And you came in to get chocolate?
Chocolate is a necessity.
But I'll never forget that. So, you know, like, and so when we first started going out like to bars again, you know, to socialize with people, I had a lot of people in our circle who were like, oh, isn't it so nice to be out and to see our friends again?
Oh, I know.
I'm like, but I've seen more of my friends and more people that I haven't seen in years. I've seen more people within this last year coming through my shop than I have in like forever. During this pandemic. So it's really been like a blessing. It's so weird to say that, but I always say that the universe is watching out for me. And you're always placed where you're placed for a reason. And for whatever reason that I was meant to come here at this time and do what I'm doing, I just have to keep trusting that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And look where it's at now. You know, like if you had been like, okay, I guess we won't sign it. I guess, it's that leap of faith thing. And that's, you know, at this point, I'm not massaging now just because I was guided to get out of that industry.
Yes.
And I knew it because I could feel, you know, like spirit, God, higher power, you know, whatever. Like there's many names for, you know, my spirit guides, my ancestors, whatever it was. Like I felt that kind of divine communication saying, okay, like you knew this chapter was coming to an end, and we want you to see some things that you're supposed to see, because I was supposed to see a few things within that career, and it did give me a different outlook on a lot of stuff. And then I heard, this is the last one. After this, you're done, and you just have to trust. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I was around a lot of friends who were very, I guess, woke or aware of like things and stuff. And it got to the point where some were falling into their own fear, and they were going down these rabbit holes and like really like obsessing about that. And I started to fall into that, because when you're around that, you hear it all the time. It, you know, you kind of become your surroundings in a sense. And I went, ooh, no more. I don't want to do this. I want to focus on solutions. I want to focus on positivity. And I felt when I was around positive people and like people like yourself, like, you know, creative types, like the entrepreneurs, like the positive, like the holistic, all of that, I felt my heart expanding. And I felt community expanding. And so I got this name, the Vibrant Expansion. And I was like, I'm supposed to do a show because I know so many amazing people, and they're all different, and some are connected and some aren't, some have there's all these different, somehow somebody knows somebody in the whole network, right? So there's this web, and I'm like, somehow I know a lot of them. And I'm like, okay, how do I bring that all together? How do I get that out there? Because we have, a lot of people have been stuck at home, stuck inside. So I'm like, let's put it back out there, you know, on some level. And so that's how that kind of started. And, you know,
well, and it's interesting that you say that, because I've had, EcoBean used to be our kind of like, we were like the home to the holistic people in Tarpon Springs. So with EcoBean closing, I feel like there's been a void in this community. So I've always had a desire to be kind of more of that. Again, even though I can't serve like teas or juices, much like I would love to have that. I want people to know that there's a place that they can come and ask questions if they need help. I have an apothecary in my shop, so if they need an herb, or if they need just any kind of like, if they have any issues that they just want some guidance, like I know people that I can send them to. So I feel like one of the most things that I'm hearing recently with the influx of people that are moving to this area is they come in here and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I found you. I found like, you're my people, and where are you? Like, I don't know where my people are. And I had to explain that we're here in Tampa Bay, but we're all kind of scattered around, which I feel like we have to do, because we are the light workers, and we have to spread ourselves out so that way we can share the message. So, you know, it's like, we're all here. Tampa Bay is a really big place, but we're all scattered. So
that's beautiful too, because it really is, you know, when I was thinking, I was supposed to move to South Carolina right before the pandemic. And that was amazing how that whole shit, like I had to really trust, because that really was shifting. I got licensed in South Carolina. We had school, they were set up in school. I was set up for chiropractic school. I had a job working in the chiropractic office doing massage. I mean, and up there, massage wasn't considered essential, because it's not a medical license how it is here. It was more like spa, like, so it's kind of more of like a cosmetology license. And they're like, yeah, we're sorry, but like, we can't hire you now.
Oh my
and I was
God.
like, and all the summer camps they were going to be in, all shut down, everything shut down. And so I was like, what am I going to do? And then it all worked out. It all was this amazing thing. And I realized, like, one, my family's here, and I realized I wasn't ready to do that for them because of our connection, and also because of, you know, that's my support system. Like, I'm a single mom. Like, I was going to move up there, like, kind of not sight unseen, but like kind of just let's just wing it and do it. And there's not as much of a community there. Even downtown Greenville, which is like one of the top 10 cities in the States right now, they had some like cute little shops, but there wasn't an apothecary. There wasn't really herbalists. There was like a handful of acupuncturists, and there was a lot of chiropractic, but where they're more holistic, but it wasn't herbal, earthy, our crunchy granola. Like that community was missing, and I realized how many more people I've connected with in the last year. Even like you and I, like our friendship's gotten like we've gotten to know each other more in the last year than we have even running into each other random things before. So I think it's everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely. It's why you just have to trust. And I think that also with all of the heaviness, I keep saying that there's so much heaviness happening right now in people's lives that like I just had a realization. I was riding my bike and I was wearing I'm usually in like work clothes, dark clothes, and it was like getting dusk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta get home, because what if somebody doesn't see me on the road on my bike and like happens to hit me and I die? And I'm like, that's crazy, because people are so afraid right now, and like how irrational of me to even think that like
that's an option.
I can like, like it's that simple that we can go at any time, and just to release that and just be able to have that realization of like we can go anytime, and this is like how we want to live like what if this is the last day of my life? This is how I'm going to live the last day of my life. So just really working hard on the mental piece, and, keeping that good mental health through all of this, I think is really important, because it's hurting a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's what's really cool about the tea gatherings is, one, you said you were talking about things that can kind of help calm that mental aspect and like bring that anxiety down, and that, and then also the community aspect. Like we need that.
Yes.
That is so healing for so many people. And it was interesting because, it seemed like a lot of the advice last year was like, don't go in the sun, don't go outdoors, get fresh air, don't ground, don't go, don't be outside, limited oxygen. There's a lot of other things there, but it's like, that's what we need. And don't be around other people, don't be around people. That's literally our life force.
Yes, that's what we need. That's what makes us,
So it's interesting times, but it's like, it's beautiful when that, and that's part of with this channel, because I saw people like yourself, like just like, hey, I'm still shining my light and I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and I'm trusting, and I'm in my flow, and I'm in alignment, and I'm just where I'm at. And those people that are meant to find, like even that lady that came in, that like she needed whatever she needed from that experience. And chocolate's healing, so that's also.
And chocolate is healing, and I think that it's just interesting, like how everything in my life that I've really enjoyed doing, and like of all the things I've ever done, it's been really rewarding to be able to gift people with really good chocolate because of the medicinal aspect of it and how it makes people feel, and it's good to play that role.
It's gotta feel good, like especially like it's so heart opening. And so you're around it all the time. So obviously your heart's open, and like you can feel that around you, there's a warmness, there's like this openness, and chocolate is medicinal, especially when it's like you're handcrafting it. It doesn't have added soy and the lectins and all of these other aspects of things that kind of take away from the purity of it and that ceremonial aspect. And even, I'm big on the whole, the fair trade aspect. So like Halloween candy and stuff, like I would rather support someone like you who's has the intention behind it, and it is more medicinal, and not do something like, other like main name brands that are not as ethical.
Use slave children's.
And it really
slaves.
is. And I've said that to people every year at Halloween, sometimes Christmas, Valentine's Day. I'm always making a post about, hey, do you know where your chocolate's coming from? And I know some people get really annoyed. They're like, oh, Heidi's on her soapbox
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Whoever's meant, even if it plants a seed, you know, and if it's annoying, I've realized like I've been doing a lot of like shadow work, very, very intentionally the last like year and the last couple of months especially. But it's like if we find that ourselves annoyed with something, like there's something that we need to heal there. So it's like I know if I post something about, you know, hey, like it's good to have mindfulness of where is your chocolate coming from? Is it slave chocolate? And if that's triggering, it's like then you're not looking at it.
Yeah.
There's something.
You want to ignore it and just absolutely. Well, and I think it's really cool to educate people that chocolate comes from a plant. Like it really it surprises people that they come in and I have the pictures of the process like before we get it. So the pod's on the tree and the pod open so you could see the fruit. And I tell people, I'm like, well, cacao is actually a fruit.
Right.
And what we're making chocolate from is the seed of the fruit. So we actually can eat the fruit, which is in pouches that I carry in my shop.
Yeah.
So you can like actually taste the fruit of the cacao, but we are using the seeds of the cacao, which is even more special if you think about like seeds,
right?
And what seeds are to plants, you know? So like that aspect of it too. And of course I always talk about why I choose to roast my beans, because as somebody who is in the raw foods industry, and I get people coming in that are, you know, like they had a woman who said she does raw chocolate. And I kind of, without even knowing, was talking about how it's not good for digestion and how when we roast our beans, you're killing off bacteria when you're roasting your beans, first of all. And I've seen feathers, I've seen, like, you think about like where beans are, like they leave them out in the sun to dry.
Right.
So when you think about what's happening, the bugs, the stuff flying overhead, like you want to kill anything off that could have been on these beans in transit.
Right.
So not only that, but so the heat is releasing the shell from the nibs or the bean. It also is bringing out your flavor. So your flavor is coming out when you roast properly also. But energetically, and I always, especially as somebody who's an herbalist, I've learned about the energetics of food. And energetically, everything involving chocolate is heating. Like the fire, the passion, like it's all heating. So like there's never in history ever been a culture that has not roasted cacao beans. Like the indigenous people always roasted their beans. Yeah. So the raw cacao phase is a new one that has been brought about with the whole like raw foods industry. So I started making raw chocolate whenever I was making, like my first bars were raw chocolate. Yeah. But once I switched to roasting my own beans, I actually did feel a difference in my digestion. It was really crazy.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, working at a raw food restaurant, like I saw, like, even though there's the whole, like, I get the whole concept of like, oh, you know, all of your enzymes are intact with, you know, even just like fruits and vegetables, you know, veggies and all that, nuts and seeds, the whole thing. Like, it's like, okay, like I get that aspect of it, but there's also another side of it. And sometimes you'll see raw foodies are very bloated.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll be very fit, but they'll have like a bloat to them. And it's, I did the raw food thing for about a year. I was like raw vegan for about a year. And then at one point I was adding in raw cheese because I started to feel very deficient. I'm like, okay, I need to have something. I was craving something else. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just do raw cheese. Yeah. It's still raw, it's not vegan. But I found out that my constitution, both in Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, required more heating foods. Like I was supposed to be having stews and, you know, your even just like spices, like adding like heating spices, heating herbs.
Absolutely.
Like, I needed that, and I wasn't having that. Yeah, it was a good detox. It was a good thing to do for about a year, and then I actually burnt my adrenals out. Yeah, not eating for my constitution, and then I got really big into Chinese medicine, eating Ayurvedic. Yeah. But even at Rockstar, Karen, the main owner there, she's like, there's the two owners, but she's like the creator on the food side of it. And she would even say, she's like, yeah, there's some raw foodists who they won't do hot tea, they won't heat their herbs, they won't heat their cacao beans or anything like that. And she said, even her, who she's very pure and very I don't want to say strict, but like she's very like passionate about her belief system with that. But she even says, no, you need to have hot teas. You need to heat your herbs. You need to steep them. You need to heat your, you know.
Yeah. So it does, like, I think that there's a misconception within the raw foods that you're not necessarily destroying good things all the time.
Sometimes it's pulling it out.
It is pulling it out.
Mushrooms.
Or it's changing the chemical structure of it for good.
Right.
So I think that that's important to be able to make that distinguishing factor. And especially with cacao, like I'm very much like, I definitely like, yes, heat it, fire, passion, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the fruit itself? Can that be used medicinally in a different sense?
So the fruit is very high in antioxidants.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so is cacao,
right?
Just like the chocolate.
Right.
Chocolate is super high in magnesium. The fruit is really high in potassium.
Oh, okay.
So it literally is like a tropical fruit.
Okay.
So the taste of it is kind of like honey and kind of like a banana and super sweet. So it's just really, and the first time I ever tried cacao pulp was, it gave me like this instantaneous burst of energy, and it was almost like my body was like, thank you.
Like I needed this.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever mixed the fruit with the chocolate to make that flavor of a?
No, and I might experiment doing like, I don't do a lot of like filled candies, but that is something that I've been, and the only reason why I don't do a lot of like bonbons and truffles is time. So it's not that I don't want to, and it's not that I can't, it's just that I don't get time to get to it.
Right.
So, but I definitely would love to incorporate like the fruit somehow with something.
Right.
So yeah.
That would be really cool. It'd be really unique. Because I'm like, I wonder if those flavors, like, I wonder if it's meant to have that.
Go get a pouch and try some.
Where is it?
Right in my little mini fridge.
Oh, this is the fruit itself?
Yeah, open on the left. So you can experience it.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Okay. It's funny, I saw these when I came in and I was like, oh, she makes these little like things, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so that is the cacao fruit.
Now I'm going to eat it with. Oh my gosh. It really does. It's like tropical fruit. It literally tastes like
a
mango banana or something.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know.
All right, now I can say, okay, that's like next level. Like that's an experience.
Yeah. Yay. And that's what I love. I love giving people that experience. And it's so funny that it's plant medicine. That's what I love. I love all plant medicine, but yeah, I always say that I'm an herbalist. I work with plant medicine, but cacao is my main medicine that I work with.
This would be so awesome to put. So I'm sensitive to banana.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I know it's like in the latex family. I don't know if that's something with that.
Yeah.
And then also it's like mucus forming. So whenever I have banana, I get an immediate like sinus infection.
Interesting.
Organic banana is not. It's a little less, but still same.
Yeah.
So I kind of just stay away from banana. But I was like, wow, I could like use that as a banana substitute.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing to do with the pulp is we make frozen pops out of them. So it's literally I put the whole pouch in a pop.
Oh yeah.
And then it just freezes the fruit and you eat it frozen. So we do sell the frozen pops also.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm learning new things.
Yeah.
Like, and the tea aspect is really cool. And you said that the last couple of weeks you've been able to focus more on the tea.
Yep. So I'm working on downsizing our tea line. Is really like I had I think about 10 different formulations of teas, and I've downsized to I think 5.
Wow. Is it just like what sells and?
Yeah. What sells the best? So the Rise and Shine is my best seller, which is what we're drinking right now. My coffee substitute, and then my super chai sells really well.
Oh yeah,
because everybody is like very familiar with chai, but that also has the immunity boosting herbs in that. And then we have an elderberry tea that we make that's different from we do an elderberry syrup kit. Okay. That is my personal formulation that if I'm making it at home, this is how I would make it. And then the elderberry tea is going to be just a little bit different.
Okay.
And then we do our lavender vanilla bean is really popular. And then we do a sweet heart blend with some rose and maca. When they all contain the cacao. And I've been on the fence of carrying the peace of mind. The peace of mind is for people that are dealing with anxiety.
Yeah.
Just because it's so particular that I try to keep everything's kind of everybody friendly.
Oh, okay.
So if somebody were to come to me and say that they need something for that, it's really easy for me to put a formulation together for them.
Right.
And might just offer that as like a personalized tea, which I can do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think I'm just going to limit it to like the very everybody friendlies.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the cacao tea, which is the husk. Which I usually recommend for steeping with cold brews or just drinking on its own as a tea.
I'm excited for this one, but this one's one you're discontinuing.
I think so.
I'm gonna have to do this as a personalized tea.
Absolutely.
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm really excited to because so it's got the cacao nibs, the tulsi, the Krishna tulsi, organic red clover, hawthorn berry, and rhodiola. Yeah, and I love all of those.
Yeah, that was actually the tea that I made for myself.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking about like heart and circulatory, that the support that I need, and actually a lot of Americans need, because a lot of us are dealing with things involving heart. Yeah. So especially women, like circulatory really is like that main thing is like we aren't moving enough, and a lot of Americans are just very stationary. We don't go anywhere, and we don't, especially right now. So we need that extra help with that system. So that's kind of what that support is specifically. But
I immediately felt drawn to it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. But I've been having like a little heart.
I think I do too, which is interesting because you said that you have a low blood pressure. Yeah. Which I do as well.
Oh,
so
that could,
I'm telling you.
I know there's so many. So, but earlier Jamiroquai came on and I was like, Jamiroquai! And she's like,
that was my boyfriend.
I was like, nobody else like Jamiroquai. We would have totally been friends. Like we went to school together.
Oh yeah.
And we would have gotten in trouble because we would have been doing
voices. We would have definitely gotten.
That's the other thing. Like not everybody knows like all the Saturday Night Live or the
Yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah. We would have been, for sure.
Sweater.
Oh man. So the newest thing, which I haven't told anybody yet, and I'll tell you now because I don't even think you know. So I have decided to. I think I might have told you.
Okay.
So we just launched an ambassador program for our chocolate, and basically there's no buy-in for the ambassador program, and it's basically just for anybody that really just believes in our mission. So our mission is. We have a mission to create the best quality chocolate from the highest quality, sustainably sourced ingredients while honoring the plants, the land, and the people. So we really, we're very passionate about caring for plants, obviously, the treatment of the plants, where the plants come from, the people that are harvesting these plants. We really, obviously, really want to make sure that the people harvesting these plants actually really love their plants also and appreciate, like, that's their livelihood. And to be able to make the highest quality chocolate that we can make. So to be able to have the help from people that believe in our mission, make a little bit of money off of helping us sell our chocolate. So so we just launched that. It's we're starting off with a 25% commission for anybody that signs up that wants to sell. And then so we're just launching that now, and I'm sure we'll be doing, building upon that. I'm trying to recruit a friend to help me grow that program.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I really, truly believe in it taking a village, and I do everything here on my own, and I want to be able to help other people, and especially like as moms, there's something, and I have, women who are bringing their craft here to sell, so I really want to be able to, again, that village and helping each other. So that's our newest part of our business that I'm super excited about growing.
I love that. I'm all in because I already, like I was saying, I'm always like promoting like the fair trade, the small businesses, all of that. Obviously I love you. I'm like, yes, please. Like, this is awesome. So, because then it's like, hey, I actually have an alternative.
Yes.
You know, like,
yeah.
you can buy local
Yes.
too. You can support a small business, and people are all about that. So,
and I love that. And part of being a small business owner, I'm really good at making chocolate, but I am not the best salesperson. So I could stand in front of my shop and talk about my chocolate and be excited about my chocolate because I know the work that goes behind. But for me to go out and actually like go to places, like I'm really bad at like going in like, hey, do you want to buy my chocolate? Like I just like I am not that person. But I want to be able to give somebody else that opportunity that's really good at that.
Right.
And to be able to take the reins and for me to be able to pay them to be able to go and do that.
Right.
So I'm very happy to, for anybody that wants to help in that piece and get that commission coming back, I will do what I can.
I love it. It's like a street team.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because like that's like part of why I like what I'm doing here with the channel is because I always like whenever I would meet people out and about, like, doing chair massages or whatever, or just working different places or shopping different places, I would always go tell everybody about, I'm like, hey, you should do this. Because they're local, they're cool, they have this unique thing. And I, even as when I was younger in high school, I was always on street teams and stuff for certain bands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, this band's cool, they do whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So like it's funny, I wouldn't call myself like a salesperson,
but
I'm definitely like a street teamer. Like I can get out there and talk it.
Yeah.
But like as far as like, I don't know if I can be like a shoe salesman or something. Or something I don't believe in.
Absolutely.
Just for the money.
Yes,
it has to be something I'm like passionate about.
Well, and that's why I decided to call them ambassadors.
Yeah.
It's like, let's, because of course, have all these different terms, affiliates, and that are like associated with people helping other businesses. And I'm like, I just feel like that would be the best way to describe us as people who are helping people that are harvesting these plants.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. I love it. Is that up and running now then? Or that's
it's live online. I haven't really announced it to anybody except you guys now. So that is brand new.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So, and I think what's going to happen, because a lot of people are now, again, with this like new wave of stuff happening, people are starting to become fearful of leaving their houses again.
Yeah.
So what I'm wanting to possibly do is provide ways to either do like virtual party type things, which I am so not about, like the virtual parties. And I'm not like, I do not want people to necessarily like, like Scentsy and all these different like other brands where they're like hounding people. Like I want it to just be organic, and to just to provide, I think it's just, I want people to know it's available.
Right.
So, and we do deliver all year round.
Oh, cool.
So we deliver in August when it's 98 degrees outside.
Is that part of there's like a monthly club?
So we have the monthly subscription club as well. So that is, you go online and you just, you get a discounted bars. You get 3 bars, almost at wholesale pricing. You get the special bar of the month, and then you get 2 additional bars that I pick, which I think we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of the subscription club as well. So I don't think I repeated any of the bars that I've picked this whole year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I've had to kind of come up with like new, like I was creative.
Yeah.
So we're going to probably start repeating bars again now that
it's been cycled through.
Yep.
So the bar of the month, is that, every month you create
something new?
Something new.
Yeah. So last month was our sour cherry and pecan. Mm-hmm. And I try to keep it seasonal and themed to Florida.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I think maybe in April we did a nasturtium and cashew. Our strawberry tulsi was really, I think that might have been March.
Okay.
Was inspired by obviously like strawberries from in Florida, and then tulsi, which grows really well in Florida as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So that one was the one who won the bronze for us at the International Chocolate Salon last month.
Oh.
So our strawberry tulsi.
That's awesome. What was there was a lemongrass one?
So our lemongrass and Thai lime was it won 3 honorable mentions. So top chocolate bar, or I think it was top chocolate bar, top flavored chocolate bar, and most unique. So it got honorable mentions for those. And then our strawberry Tulsi, interestingly enough, won for best texture.
Really? Wow.
So I always say to people when they ask about like, you know, the strawberry Tulsi and what it won, and I'm like, well, it's the same chocolate as all of my 80% bars, and it won for best texture. So technically, it kind of, all of my bars won.
Yeah. Like, there's nothing different about it other than the flavor.
So the texture for all of those are the same.
Oh my gosh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
So like, okay, well, I guess that was a good compliment all across the board.
Like all across, I've got good texture, so that's good.
So you have some that are 80%, some the Thai lemongrass is 65, right?
We're looking at the bars which are on the shelf, like right above.
Oh yeah. It's kind of like that, but yeah.
It's like
I think I got a little like shot of it. I'll like clip it in somewhere. Like
there it is.
What's out there? Like somewhere out there, there's chocolate. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So 65%.
Yeah.
And it's actually, the coconut milk is my dairy alternative. We don't do anything with dairy, so everything we do in our shop is vegan.
Awesome.
I call it everybody friendly unless you have a nut allergy, because there's a lot of nuts in here.
Yeah.
But it's the same sugar content. So it's that 15% added in is just the coconut milk.
Okay. Awesome.
So, just enough to still be able to taste the chocolate.
Right.
Like, we don't want to hide the flavor of our cacao because our beans are so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like I tell people, I'm like, anything less than an 80, you're only going to taste sugar.
Right.
And that defeats the purpose.
It really does. And these are the actual like bars themselves, but I got to taste some of the nibs of the beans.
Yeah.
This is, these are from Belize, so that's from the bags that we just got.
Okay.
This is from Peru, so these are a different origin, but you're going to be able to tell a difference in color and smell. So
Oh, wow,
Peruvian
yeah. They look more rich.
and Belize. So those beans are actually more red whenever you see them, whereas these are going to be a little bit more like...
Is there a taste difference? Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yes.
They really do. They all have a different taste. Like some were more light, or like, some are more fruity, some were more like
some are earthy, and some are more nutty. Some are more astringent just naturally, which is really neat too. And actually I found that all of the Guatemalan beans I've ever gotten have had a hint of astringency to them, which kind of tells me that it's probably within the soil.
Yeah.
So it's just really neat.
Should I pair as we talk?
Sure.
Should I do it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to make it like a thing, or if I should just kind of do it and then like.
Oh, I don't care. However you want to do it.
Okay. I'm gonna redo Belize because I melted Belize.
Trying to think if there's anything else that I've missed. So we do sell our cacao beans. We are doing a winnowing and wine workshop coming up, which is going to teach you how to roast your own beans. And that also will teach you how to deshell them. The best for me whenever I'm eating the beans after they're roasted is popping the nibs in my mouth when they're still warm. So that's going to encourage part of that. It's almost like, again, that ritualistic like deshelling of the bean and like eating them as you're deshelling them to get your nibs is like very like communal. It's like a lot of fun to just sit around and like talk and like eat them. And that is actually September 1st, I believe. So that workshop got pushed because of the Hurricane Elsa that just came through. But we're also going to, I think I'm going to make like little raw balls for everybody using the nibs. So to teach, like, not only can you just use the raw nibs, but here's another way you can incorporate the nibs into like your food.
Okay. Yeah.
And eventually I want to be able to write a book. So that's kind of my goal, is to get a book together of like different things that you can do with your chocolate.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. So
have you started on that process at all?
Kind of. Yeah. I've had several books in my head that I've been wanting to do. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because I actually have I think you're the third or fourth person that's been on the show that has either written a book or is in the process or wanting to.
Yeah.
And like, I love it. This is awesome because I'm a book collector.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of, I've just recently started getting into audiobooks.
Nice.
Because sometimes I don't have the time to sit and read as much. So now I'm like doing that. But that type of thing, like something where it's, you can use it as a reference also too.
Yes.
Those are actually some of my favorite books.
So I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I have a feeling it's going to obviously incorporate herbs and chocolate. So,
Oh yeah. Get like the healing aspect. What was the book that you told me? It was
Healing with Whole Foods.
Healing with Whole Foods. Yeah. And I started skimming through it and I was like, yes, this is awesome.
By Paul Pitchford. I knew that would be like perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually recommend to people Rosemary Gladstar's Herbalism. I think it's a beginner's guide.
Okay.
And I want to be able to carry it in my shop, so hopefully I can get it in here soon. But it is a really everybody-friendly book. Like a lot of the herbs that she used to start with are herbs that we find in our gardens, like sage and rosemary and like garlic and things that we use in our kitchen every day. That it teaches us about like the medicinal uses and other ways that we can use them other than what we traditionally think of them as. And
we were just talking yesterday. I had another interview with the acupuncturist who lives in Brandon, and she was like, "Yeah, it's like going back to how did Grandma cook, and
absolutely,
what are those things that they used?" And somewhere on a post somewhere, I just saw somebody said, "Oh yeah, at Thanksgiving dinner, my grandma would always serve fennel tea to help with the digestion aspect." And like something so simple like that is like huge.
Yes. Well, and I've been telling people recently, which is funny that this has come up. I think it was like twice in one day that rosemary used to, which is known for like memory, and it's also antiseptic, antibacterial, antiviral. Like it's just amazing. They used to make wreaths out of herbs, rosemary, oregano, sage, all of your garden herbs, because there was a time where when people would come to your door, that wreath would be that protection. So that like,
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's what wreaths were originally made out of, were your herbs.
So that's what we need to do. Just
yeah. Well, I've tons of
rosemary, like necklaces or something out of it. Like a little like it's okay if you're less than 6 feet away.
You're like, wow, you smell like Thanksgiving dinner.
Reminds me of like the thieves oil concept.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, you can put this all over yourself and you could like rob people during the plague. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
So Guatemala tasted nuttier to me. Is that like the note that you would get from that one?
Yeah.
And then I was trying to figure out the difference between Belize and Peru, but this was a little more fruity.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The Belize, I think, has more of a cherry note to it, which is why we use that for our base of all of our chocolate. It's just because it has that nice fruity flavor.
Okay. So this is the main. Belize is the main one. Okay.
Yeah. That's what we get our 120 pound sacks of.
Is that your favorite? Would you say?
I think right now.
Ecuador.
Actually, Peru has always been my favorite from the time I first started making chocolate. And
that's more earthy.
They've always just had really good kind of more. They're also fruity.
Okay.
But you can usually find really good heirloom, really, like they're called Criollo beans, which were known as like the very first bean before they started to hybrid.
Okay. So that's like the original.
Peru tend to always have really good beans coming out. You can get heirloom beans pretty much from anywhere. You just have to find them. The Bolivian is an heirloom bean. That one is the wild harvested. So I'm excited for you to try that. And I'll show you the difference. I know
the Ecuador tastes very sweet.
Oh.
I get a sweeter note from it.
So these are just some examples of the beans. So those were the Belize, which you saw in the sack. This is your Ecuador. So these are all farmed beans. This one, these are ginormous.
Oh my gosh,
this is a different Guatemala than the one we have here, but the Guatemalan beans I've used are kind of similar.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, those are tiny. The
Bolivian
ones.
So the Bolivian wild harvested are teeny tiny.
Okay. I could zoom in later, but we'll do, let me see. I don't know if that works very well.
Oh, there we go.
So Ecuador, let me see, wait.
You
So
have to
these are
side
the
by
tiny
side
ones.
with the Bolivian. Yeah.
So this is the Guatemalan. They're on this side. So those are a little bit larger. And then, well, we have Belize too, which is pretty similar to the Ecuadorian. Is that the, oh no, these two are the similar ones. Oh gosh.
They're all different.
They're all
yeah, they're all
different.
farmed except for the Bolivians.
And
So
then these ones are tinier.
teeny.
They're so itty.
I know they're like baby beans and they're so precious and
They're so awesome.
yeah, I love them.
They really are. They're so cute.
I know.
So the Peruvian, you don't have the
We don't have the
Peruvian ones, but that
Peruvian
was-
beans. Yeah.
I think I saw one back there though, right? Or,
You
oh,
saw
no,
the
it's okay,
nibs, yeah. So the Peruvian were really red. I think that's the main difference between all of the beans, and you can tell with color too. Even the Bolivian is a darker bean, so it actually produces a darker chocolate. That's my darkest chocolate. Darkest as in
Oh.
color, not even like as percentage. Like all of the colors of my chocolate is different based on the color of the bean.
Oh, okay.
And the Peruvian, interestingly enough, and I'll show you a little bit later, the nib they actually have white varieties of the beans, and I opened up a nib and it was like marble, like brown
really?
with white in it, and it was so good, it was so delicious.
So I have a question that Seven wanted me in particular to ask you, which was, how would you make white chocolate versus like dark chocolate or like a milk chocolate?
White chocolate is just the butter of the bean.
That's okay.
So what happens when you press these beans, essentially, so what you're getting a cold press, which cold pressed things are where you're having so much pressure from the machine of like that press
Okay.
that it's squeezing that thing so hard that it's expelling the butter versus the powder.
Oh.
Versus, so I have a heat press in my shop, so I
Okay.
can heat press my beans, and the heat is being produced and like pressing to expel the powder from the butter.
Okay.
So the hot or the heat press is going to change your flavor of your chocolate. So
Okay.
the powder of it is going to taste more baked.
Okay.
So
okay.
I usually only use the powder of it in my baked goods.
okay.
And the butter of it, it's a really hard process to get enough butter for me to keep up with production. So
Right,
that's why I
yeah.
don't do it on my own. And I like cold pressed butter.
Mhm.
And if I were to use powder, just because it doesn't change the flavors.
Right.
So that's what happens though. So a cacao bean is about 50% butter and 50% powder or
Okay.
like mass.
Right.
So when it presses it, that butter is released. The whatever's left over is your powder, which is used for baked goods and hot chocolates and things like that. Again, it's the only difference between raw cacao and cocoa is a roasted bean.
Roasted. Okay.
So you're generally going to have more flavorful hot chocolates when you use cocoa or baked goods because they're roasted.
Right.
So, and then a raw cacao is generally what we think of as bitter. And a lot of
Right.
people think of like chocolate as being bitter because the roasting process is done wrong. Or it's over roasted or it's under roasted.
So when you get cacao nibs, you can see if it was raw or roasted.
Yep. And I usually recommend to people who buy raw cacao nibs to roast them themselves and just heat them a little bit. It could be on your stovetop. I like using a wok or like a skillet, and you just heat it and you're going to bring flavor out of those nibs.
That's awesome.
So, yep, so simple.
Are there certain properties that come out of it when it's heated more, like kind of like herbs or medicinal mushrooms or something?
You know, I don't know specifically other than the fact that your
Yeah.
flavor is going to be
Flavor.
that much better.
Well, and then you have like the theobromine aspect.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really cool because that's like the love.
Oh yeah, that's
like the
producing the
herb thing.
serotonin and all of the chemicals. And I think I did a workshop at Sweetwater Organic Farm years ago,
I
and
miss it there.
I do too. It was a Valentine's chocolate making like love intensified
I think
class.
I remember seeing something. Okay,
Probably.
okay.
And I did a lot of research about like chemicals within the chocolate at that time. And I can't remember the number specifically, but there are like 363 different chemical constituents in chocolate that affect our brain.
Wow.
So it literally, and that's why I always say you're either a chocolate person or you're not,
Right.
because it affects us or it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is. And that's why when people come into my shop and they're like, oh, it's not for me. And I'm like, I get it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not that chemical in your brain is not, that's okay.
Right.
We don't all have that. And it's fine.
Yeah, like there's some people who are like, I just want vanilla. I
Yes.
prefer the vanilla cake or vanilla ice
and
cream
that's
or whatever it
okay.
is. Yeah.
That's okay. And actually, my dad was a non-chocolate person, and my mom was the chocolate person. And obviously, like, I get people coming in here who are, and I'm actually not that I'm like I like fall in the middle chocolate person. So, which aren't many of us, like, they're kind of rare. So, I have so many people that say they need that one small piece of chocolate every day.
Mm-hmm. That's me.
A lot of people need it at nighttime, and I always say I think it's the magnesium level that helps us like calm, which is interesting because a lot of times we think of chocolate as like energizing,
right?
But I know those people that it like helps. Like
I crave it at nighttime.
Yeah,
like in the mornings I will too.
Yeah,
more so if I'm gonna do like a smoothie or something like that. But the craving does come in the evening.
Yeah,
it's like 5 o'clock.
Yes,
to 5 to 9, somewhere in there. Yeah, and I really do. Like, I will actually crave it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
you have that.
Now I have like the best source of it.
Yes, you do. And it's so neat too, because like for myself, I don't necessarily reach for chocolate unless I'm starting my cycle. And I usually know whenever that time is coming because I crave chocolate.
Yeah.
And I do believe truly that it's because of the magnesium level. I also believe that it's because of the chemicals that it's affecting in our brain whenever we're on our cycle, that we're about to start our cycle, that we're needing to boost those.
Right.
And it helps us feel better, which is why we crave those.
It's like the serotonin,
dopamine,
all of
that.
that.
Yep, all of that.
It really is. There's the feel good.
Yeah.
You know, you just, even like when we were first drinking the tea, you're right. Like there's this like I just feel good.
Yeah. And it's also interesting because I had a former student of mine from when I was a teacher who came in to help me during the holidays, and we were testing out hot chocolate formulations, and we did a traditional hot chocolate with no sugar. So it was just the chocolate with cacao, and it was cacao, cinnamon, and cayenne, and it almost instantaneously like made us giddy and like just like happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's something with cayenne, and I like the scientific and like the holistic health piece of me says it's with the blood vessels opening up that you're getting that burst of just like all of a sudden between the chocolate and the cayenne instantaneously like opening up those blood vessels and like opening up, like going to that brain and like the heart and like all of it. You're just like almost like instantaneously like,
it's like the delivery system. Like it just really like,
yeah. This is awesome.
What's interesting is the Bolivia, which I actually really like that one.
Yeah.
I really like that
beautiful.
One. It almost has a little bit of that as natural Aztec kind of chocolate taste to it. Like the tiniest hints of like cinnamon and cayenne.
Yeah. It's a beautiful chocolate.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Not in a spicy way, but I'm like, ooh, it has that like Aztec chocolate taste to it.
Yeah. And that's why I love doing the pairing so much. It's so much fun for people to, and it's like coffee. And I always say in the herbal world, we say what grows together goes together. So when you think about the foods that are growing in our, rainforests in Central and South America, which is where cacao should be growing, you have your sugar, so my sugar that I use actually comes from Colombia. So it's a sustainable farm. And it's a dehydrated cane juice, an organic dehydrated cane juice. So it's literally, I call it our gold. The color of it is gold. It's beautiful.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you're still getting the medicinal properties from sugar even through this chocolate. So when you're getting an unrefined, unprocessed, dehydrated cane juice, sugar has vitamins and minerals in it still. Like we don't think about that because we just think of like sugar as being bad. But it's not unless it's in excess.
Right. In excess or overly processed where you're taking out the medicinal
Yes,
aspects.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So
or bleaching or whatever.
Yes, I know. Like the
white
white sugar that like sugar should not be white. No. So
what about the juice aspect? How does that work? Like when you see cane juice? Or
So that literally is from the pressing of the cane. So what happens with our, like for our sugar, is they press that to get the juice, and then they dehydrate it, and that's how it becomes crystallized.
Mhm.
So,
cool.
yep.
That's awesome.
I
So
know.
it's even one step
Yeah.
less to, or yeah.
Yeah. And then we also use all compostable packaging too. So we're trying to lessen our
That's
footprint
awesome.
and try to have a better future for our children.
I love it. I love everything that you like, the classes, the pairing, the tasting, like all the different flavors, the monthly club, the ambassador program, all the teas, like even just the idea of the cacao tea, like that's literally just the one ingredient, it's just the shells, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. It really, like, I've learned so much more, like, because I always, I had tried just some of the chocolate flavors before, but I never knew about like the teas or even the monthly club.
Yeah.
I heard or saw you post somewhere about it like maybe a month or two ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta look into that. And so yeah, it's and even this, like, just the fact that like you have this, like, it's really cool.
special.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like,
everything we're doing in here is super special. And I always kind of chuckle when people walk in, and like my shop is so small, and they look at my bars, which don't look like a lot, but I always say it's kind of like going into an ice cream shop. Like when you see like the case and you see all the different flavors, like you just have to look and see which ones are for you.
right.
But people don't know what to do. Like they walk in here and they're looking for like bonbon cases and chocolate cases, and they walk in, they're like, what is this? And like I have to kind of explain, and then they just walk out sometimes, and I'm like,
You
just don't even know.
don't understand. Chocolate doesn't have to be like whatever, like like you said, like the bonbons.
Yeah. Even though I do love bonbons
Yeah.
and truffles, so, and do try to make them as soon, like whenever I get a chance. That's why we have a little mini fridge that we keep those in. So.
Well, and I love all of this aspect too. It's that you said like some of it's local artisans, and a lot of it comes
from the tribal communities in Colombia.
So yeah, it's really cool, and it's beautiful when you walk into, because it's colorful. There's a lot going. I love
Thank you.
it. You're welcome. Yeah.
We're located at 11 North Pinellas Avenue in downtown Tarpon Springs.
So come check it out.
Ratza Chocolate, RATZA.
And it's Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday right now, because we
Okay.
do workshops on Wednesdays. So Wednesdays we are closed, but we're usually here. So if you want to come in and shop, you've got to come sign up for a class and do one of our workshops.
Nice.
But we will be changing our hours probably soon for the season.
Okay.
So
And then I got to ask you maybe like one last question. What's your favorite bar that you've made, or do they shift? Like when you create a new one, sometimes you get like a new favorite.
I definitely usually will rotate my favorite bars. I think the Pina Colada Bar is kind of the bar that I always go back to,
Okay.
which is infused with dehydrated pineapple juice. And it's a coconut milk bar, so it's the coconut with the pineapple juice, and then it's topped with a dried pineapple ring with coconut flakes on top. And then I think the rose cardamom also, which is a coconut milk also that's infused with rose and cardamom, is still one of my favorites. I say every woman needs that in her life.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of my favorite. That and the golden milk were my two favorites.
The golden milk is my oldest formulation. So when I first started making chocolate, that's actually my homage to Eco Bean, because I was
that's
there
awesome.
when we were creating the golden milk at Eco Bean. And so that one is infused with turmeric. It's a coconut milk infused with turmeric and cinnamon, and it has the black pepper sprinkled on top. I know. I love that one still too.
I know. Yeah. No, it's funny because like I've consumed quite a bit of chocolate tonight, and I'm still like looking around. I'm like, I want to take that.
Yeah.
And
And then my other favorite chocolate, which we're going to be doing bar collections kind of like this, except with different collections in them for the holidays. So this will be available for the holidays also, even though we might be changing the single origins depending on what's available. We're going to do a box for 80% dark. We're doing a box of coconut milk. We're doing an 80% dark botanical and a 65% coconut milk for botanical as well.
nice.
one of the bars, and a holiday box. So we do one that's special for the holidays that has like a holiday spice, which is like ginger. And one of the bars going in that is one of my favorites, which I'm bringing back for the holidays, which is the Gio di Giadi, which is the hazelnut infused chocolate. So it's the cacao with the hazelnut combined, infused into, it's like creamy and it tastes like a milk chocolate, but it's hazelnut instead of milk. So that one's coming back for the holidays.
I think my girls will like that one.
That one is amazing. It is so good.
They want to find like the alternative to Nutella because they love the taste of like a Nutella, which is the chocolate hazelnut.
Yes.
But obviously I'm like, lots of artificial sugar and artificial vanilla and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, let's try not to do that.
Yeah. So this bar is basically kind of like Nutella in a bar form. Oh. It's delicious.
Oh my gosh.
So I would say of all the chocolate I've ever made, that was the one bar that I literally could come in and eat a whole bar. And it was a special bar of the month. So I only had them for the month. And generally my bars of the month will kind of eventually come back. Like the Pina Colada was my September bar of the month of last year.
Okay.
And I just rolled it back out for the summertime. So that one will probably eventually leave our shelf. Okay. And maybe during holidays, we'll probably do the pumpkin spice and more of the holiday themed chai is usually big in the holidays.
I was going to say,
definitely the hazelnut infusions. That one will definitely be around.
Oh man, holidays. And fall is my favorite time of year.
And I will be doing raw caramel apples for fall. So that's going to be something that goes in my case. And that's something that I've been doing for years. It's with a date-based caramel. And we do the drizzling of the chocolate over top and putting the nuts on. It's delicious. So lots of good things happening. No.
You should look into lucuma fruit. Lucuma, it's a Peruvian fruit.
I've seen it listed on my site, so I've just never worked with it before.
It tastes like caramel.
No way!
It tastes like caramel.
I'm going to have to experience.
Yeah, it's really good. And it has a lot of different properties and minerals and stuff.
We're going to have to get some and experiment.
Lucuma has a special place in me.
Awesome. Well, I might have to name it for you.
That could be, it could be even like a caramel bar.
Yes, that's a really good.
That's the Heidi bar.
Heidi bar.
I seriously I have when I first found lucuma, I had a love affair with lucuma. I was like, oh, it's amazing. Lucuma and cashew taste really good together.
Okay. There's your contest submission. We're doing a contest. I don't know when this is going to air, but for our August bar, we're doing a contest for somebody to create a bar.
Awesome.
And
all right, I'm gonna
entering into the contest. So yes,
consider that entered.
Lucuma and cashew.
Yep.
Okay.
Cashew.
Lucuma cashew.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
All right.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I feel like I've learned something. I didn't even know about the caramel apple thing. It's funny because I don't know if I've just been in a box, but I'm like, how did I not know all of everything?
It's a lot. I do a lot.
Yeah. It's amazing. So
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for what is this little chocolate book?
That's a chocolate tasting journal.
Oh,
so it's kind of like what you're doing. If somebody is a passionate chocolate person, that anytime you try a new chocolate, it gives you it's kind of what is in this box, which is specifically just for this. But this is it's kind of like a beer tasting journal, but for chocolate. So you get to write it has chocolatier, origin, aroma, filling, date, and so that way you can document your chocolates.
Oh, that is
as
so
you
cool.
try them.
Especially if you're in the monthly
yes, actually for Christmas I always like to treat my monthly subscription club people. It's fun. I stick teas in it. The strawberry Tulsi, I gave Tulsi tea so they could try the flavors. But so this was one of the Christmas gifts that I gave my subscription club members as everybody got the journals. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like you've thought of everything, and this too. This is one of my favorite things here because I literally was like, I want to taste the fruit.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Has fruit.
Yeah.
Next time you get fruit in, I want to taste it. And you're like, it's right over there. Yeah. Perfect. So now I'll let the girls taste it. I'll be like, do you want to taste what cacao fruit tastes like?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.
Oh, good. Now I can feel natural again.
Oh, I know.
Are you recording?
I put it on just because I can clip it out. Because I was like, I'm gonna have to get back up and hit record. And
Chatter.
yeah, so it's got all this like,
should I do
short hair or dreads?
So what's your hair look?
Yeah. Don't worry, I won't put that up. I won't put that up. I was just like, I don't want to get back up and hit record again.
So then those are already pre-roasted.
Yeah, so the nibs are already roasted, which is why I don't add them in. So from here, this blend is not easy to make. This is kind of a pain, but it is really delicious when it's done.
Yeah.
Which is why I love it so much. Because from here, I have to grind it up. So I don't leave it like this because it's the roots. I like to pre-grind it so that way people can because most people don't do this as a decoction on
Right, they're not gonna brew it for that long.
It's going to be easier for them to brew and actually get the effect if it's like ground into like a powder.
It smells amazing.
It's so good.
It smells so good.
Like I just came in here and I'm like, I knew that I wanted to make teas anyway. That's kind of my focus of this week, which I've already gotten a lot of them.
Because the elderberry class is next week or Wednesday. Yeah, okay.
So I'm already done with my elderberries, and I made some chais this past weekend, and this is the only thing that I like. I have none, and it's my best seller. So I'm like, I need to get some of this too. And I didn't have to do it today, but I really just want some.
Maybe I'll buy some from you today if you have enough then, because I'm like, it smells so good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, if you don't drink coffee, it is a good coffee replacement then.
It is. And I always tell people too, you're getting, I have some nips already. So I ground my shaga in here.
Oh,
and that's,
okay.
For my chai tea, for all of my herbal chocolate teas, I use nibs.
Okay.
For the cacao teas, I use the husk.
Oh.
So that's the difference. And basically, my cacao tea is just cacao tea. So I don't really add, it's not really an herbal formulated tea.
Okay.
So all of my herbal formulated teas are with the nibs.
Oh, okay.
So, and I grind them like coffee, which is why this is in here, is because I had the shaga and I didn't want to waste the shaga.
Right.
And since shaga goes into the chai,
okay.
I just ground the nibs directly with the shaga so they all come
okay.
in. So alternatively, it's also, we put shaga into this blend, so I'm just going to use what's in here too.
Awesome. So the husk you use for...
So the husk is good with like a standalone tea.
Okay. And it still has that chocolate flavor to it? Okay.
Yes. I also usually recommend the husk for people that want to put it in coffee.
Okay.
So cold brew is really amazing with the husk. If you do just like the coffee grounds with the husk in it and put it in your fridge overnight, that makes a really beautiful
That sounds
flavor.
really good.
And then I also have people that just want like the chocolate, literally just the chocolate tea that they use like their sweetener and their milk of choice to make it like a chocolate milk type of.
I think that's what Anna gets. Yeah.
All right. This is so good. So I grabbed my lids back, but I'm actually using my coffee grinder because it grinds more like a coffee ground.
Oh, okay.
Better, and this will take forever, but we're just going to do enough so we can like make some.
Make some, yeah. How fine do you grind it?
Like basically just like a coffee.
Coffee grind. And then do you brew it loose leaf or
French press?
French press.
French stuff it. So this part takes forever just because like there's so much of this. And
Right.
I'm really just particular about the ground. So like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, is this still warm? No. Sorry. Sometimes I like blend it and it's still warm. It doesn't work very well.
It's funny because like I keep having questions. I'm like, oh, I want to ask you questions. Like, wait, I'll wait for the interview for that. 'Cause I want to be like, I want to know how you got like started in this and like came up with everything. And this smells amazing.
I am going to. This is going to be our personal little stash. I need my sugar. So this is from Farmer Jim Kovaleski. I don't know if you know Farmer Jim, but he brings...
Wait, was he from Eco Bean? Did he bring stuff to Eco? Okay, yeah.
So he brought this back from Maine. So I just freshly ground this a couple days ago.
That's the shaga? Or
And then I use reishi in that as well. And since this is for us, I'm going to add some lion's mane.
Awesome.
Because I have it.
A little extra.
I love mushrooms.
Mushrooms and chocolate are like a perfect combo.
I agree. Normally I measure this out.
Are you, see, it's funny because this is how I do stuff at home. And so if I, like now starting our, the Dirty Herbals company, measure, yep. I'm like, okay. And I'm mostly letting Matt handle that.
Yeah.
I just do like the fulvic side, and even though I have like, you know, like the superfood nutrition certification and all that, so I know like about this, a lot of the superfoods and the mushrooms and all of that. But as far as like herbal formulations, that's a whole different thing.
Yes. All right. So once this is done, you just treat it like coffee.
Okay.
So.
What's vervain for?
Vervain is for, basically it's like a nerve.
Oh, that's right.
So it's specifically intended for people that feel frazzled.
Okay.
Like that, like literally like their nerves are like on end.
So like for us.
I'm actually, okay, so I'm more of a passion flower girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what would the difference between, like,
vervain is,
this is how I've felt the last 2 weeks.
Hardcore. So I make a formulation called Peace of Mind, which is why I have these.
Okay.
And it's mainly passion flower with a little bit of the vervain, because like the vervain is like powerful.
Yeah.
So if you have too much of it, you literally are like, oh. So it's like you have to find that balance of like literally just like the calming.
Yeah.
And then
this is how I've been feeling the last 2 weeks. Like just on edge. Like literally like frazzled.
Yeah.
Like every little thing. Like
maybe you need some of my peace of mind.
I know. I'm like we're gonna leave with some.
I love tea.
I know.
And it's funny because like I kind of formed this business to be able to integrate them together, because I love making tea so much in my herbal formulations. So I'm like, I would feel really sad if I wasn't able to like do that also.
Yeah.
Plus it's like better than anything I can get.
Right. Oh yeah, it's gonna be, you know exactly what you're formulating.
Yeah.
It's super fresh.
And it all has chocolate in it.
I'm learning, it's funny because like orange peel, the rose hips, the hibiscus, like all of that, like I'm learning it from like Matt, like what some of the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
But it is interesting, like the Western and Eastern, like there are some similar.
Oh my gosh, well a lot of them are cross herbs.
Yeah.
It's just they have different names in Chinese.
Just pinyin.
Yeah. It's like, and when you learn, I mean, they literally are.
She'd be like, hi. We're here having tea. It's really exciting. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
Are you having?
I'm having a good time.
This is a good time. What's our tagline? I think it's something like that, like good times, good times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is it's good. It's good
Oh
times.
no, I want to do that like every interview now. I want to do a different voice or a different character. Like, but yeah, I definitely want to do. That's what ours should be. We should do that, and then I want to do like the welcome to Coffee Talk. We got some cacao.
It's the best cacao.
We were ordering food the other day, and I went into a voice, and I was like, why did I do that? That's so funny.
Can I have more, actually? Yes.
Is there more in there?
There is more.
This is delicious. This is like the best thing ever.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. It's my
Yeah.
best seller. I love it so much.
Yeah, if you have some, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna take this home with me.
Yeah, I have the last of that I gave.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna make sure you have yours though.
No. I have a whole thing.
Like
I
how
can
I
write.
glasses.
Should we wear glasses while we do it?
Yeah, what are you making in here?
So this is just chicory, dandelion, burdock, and cinnamon chips.
There's no cacao in it?
Not yet.
Oh, wow.
So the
It already smells like...
I know, isn't it good? I
Yeah.
love this. So the cacao
It almost has a
is
cacao
already
flavor.
roasted.
Okay.
So I don't roast it again.
Oh, okay.
So, and I actually need more. So I was going to wait to get some more of the nibs so I can show you guys how I
nice.
get them.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what they're getting?
they're getting the beads. It's such a pain to open. I'm so glad they're doing it.
Like, I'm gonna put you guys to work here.
It's literally like layer upon layer upon layer of like this plastic. 120. So it's like literally, I always say that's like a body without the limbs. 120 pound, what is it? Torso. Gotta get it out to find out. You can tilt it.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, just like lift the box and kind of roll it on the side. I can't even lift the box. Here, let's go this way. Ready? Go this. Come on, tilt it. Exactly. And then let's at least get this off. And there you go. You've got more plastic wrap to take off.
This is their project for, That's awesome.
So funny. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I guess it's good.
I think it's just the video. It like throws me off.
I know. Hi.
You should do a blooper reel.
I usually do. No, I usually do. As long as the person's cool with it, I usually do. The first video that I ever did was my friend Jod's, and she's a recording artist. And I was like, do you want me to put the cats away? Because I have 3 cats. So I was like, do you want me to put the cats away? Or I put my hair up and I saw there was like a big, like, you know, those big things. There's a big like curl that wouldn't go away. It's like, what's going on?
So
I'll grab some little B-roll, but
normally there's the roasting, and then they have to cool all the way before I can crack them open, which is like
okay.
this bag is waiting to get cracked open. That's what these are. They're already roasted.
Ooh.
Then I have to run them through here, which is a juicer.
Oh, really?
And they just crack and then go down and put them, and I go into this bag.
Oh, wow.
So once they are cracked and into this bag, so this is your shells and nibs combined. So the act of deshelling your cacao nibs it's called winnowing. And it's the same as if you're doing peanuts or almonds or anything that has a shell. The act of taking the shell off is called winnowing.
Winnowing, okay.
So
you have to separate it? Do you hand separate it? Or?
So once upon a time, I used to do it with a blow dryer.
Oh, wow.
Now that's what this machine does. So
Cool.
Because I need some nibs. And Coltrane, can you please? I need to label this. I just can't forget that that's my Peru. Okay. It's going to be a little loud. So this is a shop vac that when you turn it on, the suction of the shop vac, I'm going to pour the nibs here, and it's basically the vacuum suction is going to keep the shells in the bucket, and it's going to drop the nibs in the bowl because of the heaviness of the nibs. So to kind of see this in like a different version, I used to do this process with the blow dryer. So the blow dryer would blow the shells, and because the shells are so light, the shells come out of the bowl, but the nibs are heavy, so they stay in the bottom of the bowl.
Okay.
So it's kind of the process, and when you start going up in manufacturing, the process is still the same. So you're still using a shop vac version where there's a vacuum hose that's being connected.
Now, did you build this or did you buy this?
Somebody else did.
Okay.
So we almost were going to build our own, and we were thinking about like cost of tubing and connectors and time, and it like literally.
It's like might as well just buy one. Yeah.
Yep.
A winnower. Is the vacuum sucking or blowing?
Sucking.
It is sucking. Okay. So it's sucking up.
Make sure it's sucking.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was like the hair dryer idea.
No, it's sucking. Yeah. So then we have these balance
Yeah.
that you can adjust. So if you start pulling too many husks into your bowl, you can adjust them and it will adjust the suction of the shop vac.
That's awesome. This is really cool.
A full day to roast beans.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then I let them cool overnight, and then the next day I'll do the cracking and winnowing. And that usually happens when I have to get chocolate on my machine. Like I'll be in like early in the morning before we open so I can do this. Otherwise, like I have it like my mirror that I can see people coming in. But it's still
that's
like
a good idea, yeah.
really awkward whenever it's like I see people come in. I'm like, hello, and I have to turn this
Turn this off and yeah.
So I try to get this done before I open, and then I try to get my chocolate on my machine by noon. So the chocolate has to grind for like 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
So it's easier for me to time if it's on by noon, then I can take it off like whenever I get here or anytime it's convenient. So that way I'm not waiting until like, later in the day. But, so what happens, that looks pretty clean actually. And what I would do is just go and pick out any of the larger husks. So like that, I will just usually sit here and pick shells out.
Yeah.
And then, which is why you see a bunch on the floor, but also because I do this, and you can see there's a little bit of nibs left in here, and that's mainly because of my adjustments. I would rather have more nib coming out and nib coming in here than having shells like go in.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll scoop out, because all the nibs, when this bucket starts to fill, they tend to go to one section of the bucket. So I just scoop them and rerun them through.
Okay.
And then, so what happens after this is all of these shells go into those bags that are right behind Coltrane. And those are used for my cacao teas.
That's awesome. It's cool that you can use everything for something.
Yes, and my husband gets mad at me because...
Ooh. I know, I prematurely took a bite. I was like, I can't wait.
I should have been prepared.
I need longer.
I'm only really I stay patience.
That's the good thing. Oh, is it this little chocolate book? Oh, that's the box. It's okay.
I used to start. I'm not even gonna tell.
Yeah.